So yeah, in the rankings of every MCU movie,
I've been thinking about this.
I've been thinking
I've
about
been thinking
this
about
too.
it too.
I'm not ready to rank them yet, but it is definitely maybe top 5 for me, at least.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, I was thinking about this afternoon, and it's right up there with Cap Winter Soldier. And I'm not sure what I gave Cap Winter Soldier. I want to say that was 3 or 4, but it gave me the same kind of vibe because it's more of an Avengers, a total Avengers story. And I like that. That's my favorite ones are the ones that are like total Avengers stories.
Is that a band? Are you in a band?
Are you in a band?
That was so, oh my God, there's so many classic lines.
So many
good
lines.
ones.
Yeah, it's they nailed the whole, let's bring back characters from the past, let's reference things from the past. They nailed that perfectly. It was perfect. And going in, all I knew from the trailers was Doc Ock was going to be in it, Green Goblin, maybe some other villains or something like
Electro,
that.
Electro, Sandman, they were all confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Rumors of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, but I tried to stay away from the spoilers and stuff like that.
Thank you.
So I kind of knew it was going to happen, but I wasn't totally sure. And Andrew and I were talking about this before. I saw it Thursday night, and there were cheers and clapping, and the audience participation was amazing because, and I'm sure you felt that too, Pam. The first time it's like, hey, there's a thing, yay, and that was the coolest thing. It was the coolest thing to just the whole audience experience.
I've missed that. It was fun.
Me too.
Yeah,
that crowd experience just like brought me into that movie so much more. Like everyone's feeling what I'm feeling. We're all cheering and clapping and booing and crying and doing all this crap all together at the same events. And that is why movies are not going to die. People keep talking about the movie theater industry dying. That's why it's not going to.
It's not
because
going
that is a unique experience.
You cannot
replicate that in even the best home theater where you can see, I don't know, 15 people or whatever. That's still not the same as an entire stadium cheering at the same thing. Joe brought it up perfectly earlier before we got on this podcast. It's like going to a Steelers game and having those terrible towels waving, and like Renegade comes on and you're just losing your mind. Like that is what I felt in this movie. And this movie brought me to a very special place. So I'm over the moon about this movie.
And Pam, even though you didn't experience that with an entire crowd, but you still experienced that, individually, all those surprises and things like that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I knew little, and I went by myself last night, and I was in a bunch of kids. It was like all kids, all these teenagers, and then, but it was, you could still hear that, like you said, the hooting and hollering and lots of crying. Heard lots of crying, so including my own. I cried actually more the second time I watched it because I knew what was coming. And it still hit me hard. So
I have 2 sad cries and 1 happy cry.
Okay.
I think the sad crying just kind of started for me at a certain point and just kind of kept going, and then mixed in with a couple happy tears. But and
there's so much that happened, and there's so many questions and things to discuss. Yeah. So it's going to be so much fun talking about it, but still so much. So I hope we cover it all, or cover most of it. I hope we can too,
because I only have one beef with it, and I hope we get to the beef. So
I'm sure we will, but if we don't,
let me know. Nitpicky things I have, but I'm high on this movie, so yeah.
So let's get started. So it starts with how was it? What was the last one?
Far From Home.
Far From Home. It started where Far From Home ended, where Mysterio says, "Oh, it's Peter Parker. Spider-Man killed me, and he's a murderer. And oh, by the way, he's Peter Parker."
Yeah.
And And Peter saying, "What the?"
Yeah.
Yes,
So
most internet thing ever.
So we go from that point, and now we just continue, and MJ is in the crowd, and he goes to get MJ, and then swing away. I like when he's swinging away. He's like, your hair is in my face. I can't really see.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the moment because I thought it was a good comment on culture where like the one woman's like, Spider-Man, give me your mask. And he like kind of bats her hand away like nonchalantly. And she's just like, Spider-Man hit me.
No,
yeah. That's
Typical.
how society works now.
There's a lot with, I mean, the whole thing with the Daily Bugle and, you know, the conspiracy theorists and stuff is very, you know, mirrored what we see now
very,
with, you know,
very real world for me.
You know, a lot of misinformation and all that stuff.
And I love that it picked right up. Like, I love when movies pick right up from when one lets off, especially when the last movie ended with such a bombshell. This one had to pick right up there.
Right.
If it didn't, it would have, I don't know. I thought that was the perfect way to start
like you would have had to do flashbacks on how he dealt with that. And that would have just been, that would have been boring to me because you knew it was already resolved. Now you're in the thick of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So they go to his place, and Peter finds out that Happy and Aunt May broke up. I don't know, were they ever a thing that went in the previous
were like
movies?
a summer fling is what I'm reading.
I
don't know, they were sorted together, but not really.
I think they go on a date in the last movie, or a date.
I don't remember.
I remember.
I love that that was the first time Aunt May met MJ. That was a cute moment.
I love that we got to see that. I mean, I love that we got to see that. That was really cute.
Yeah.
There were really great personal moments in this movie, like throughout, and that was another one of them. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I also thought it was cute that he's putting down the blinds, and then the one blind won't go down. It's like, like a spider.
He just whips it. He's like,
which I heard was possibly a improvised thing. Where he just, you know, the blind really wouldn't go down. He's like, okay,
well, he's an improvisational actor, so I butchered that pronunciation.
I tell you what, Tom Holland, and we'll talk about this. Tom Holland is great, but all of you British people that pull off perfect American accents, I hate it.
Bloomin'.
I never knew he was British until, I don't know. I'll be honest. I didn't know he was British.
Tom Holland, Tom Hardy, Andrew Garfield, all British.
Yeah.
Oh, even Garfield. They even got
Garfield.
Him. Oh, Garfield.
Let's go dump some more tea.
If I ever become president, I will make a British actor registration act where you must register as a British actor, and you can only play British roles in your British accent. No more Americans. Stop taking jobs from
Tom Hardy versus Matthew McConaughey and their heavy ass accents. All right.
So yeah, J. Jonah Jameson breaks it, and I love that. I love that, you know, in the past, the Daily Bugle was a newspaper, and that's how. And now, you know, newspapers are basically dead, so it's now a website. And
it's kind of brilliant that they did that. Yeah.
I liked that. The one thing, and this is one of my only like fan wishes of the movie. So we get all these variants of all these Spider-Man and all these villains and stuff. I would have loved J. Jonah Jameson from the Raimi universe, full like flat top, like mustache, cigar in mouth, just being like one of those New York street preachers, just going like, Spider-Man is a menace, and like having the blog J. Jonah Jameson walk by and just see that and be like, you know what, he's right. And just like bringing that on the show. That would have been amazing. That would have been an amazing crossover.
So they are arrested by the Department of Damage Control, which
we saw that in Homecoming.
We saw that in Homecoming. So in Homecoming, it was actually. Was it actually started by Tony Stark?
Department of Damage Control that came over and took over Vulture's work site.
They're basically, it's a department that is in charge of cleaning up after all the superhero battles and stuff like that, which is really cute and totally understandable. If you would have superheroes doing all kinds of damage and stuff like that, you would need a department.
It makes total sense.
But in this part, they also are like superhero police. I mean, because they're arresting people.
Well, you got to remember the Sokovia Accords still exist. Like,
Yeah.
despite the fact that we've jumped and we're technically, this movie takes place just like Hawkeye and a couple of the others, takes place in 2023, technically speaking, it's according to the Marvel timeline. So the Sokovia Accords are still in effect, unless because we have not heard otherwise. I'm assuming they're still in effect. So yeah, the Department of Damage Control can come in and enforce that. Like, you can't be illegally superheroing.
One thing I thought. Sorry. Go ahead, Pam.
No, it made me think of, what's the name of in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the organization that we hear about after the blip? I can't think of the name of it.
Think of a global relocation thing or some.
Oh yeah,
crap
the
like
GRC.
that.
The GRC.
Like,
GRC, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that maybe they're related to them. Like, I didn't make the. Yeah, I don't know.
Totally understandable, but because that was a department to address another problem of all the people that came back from the blip. Where are they now? Are they refugees? So that's probably another government agency or another entity or something like that. Or
UN agency or something like that. Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that they're interrogating Peter and he says, "Well, I've been talking to Nick Fury. Go ask him." It's like, Nick Fury's in space. What are you talking about? It's like, how do you know that Nick Fury is in space?
Well, their Department of Damage Control, their government, and technically SWORD is what he's starting up in space. That's technically government as well, in theory. So I'm willing to, again, these are like the little nitpicky things I'm willing to just give a pass to.
Either way,
they know because they know.
I let that go.
Yeah.
Either way, dude's connected. That's what that told me. It's like,
there you go.
He knows things because I mean, he knew that. Peter didn't know that. Peter thought he was talking to
real Nick Fury in Far From Home because he was a Skrull.
Peter doesn't know what Skrulls are, so
he doesn't. But that's why he's like, oh, he's in space. Like, that's why he looks confused. So yeah.
So they raid Stark Industries, and so
I don't know how this case gave them the authority to raid Stark Industries. I feel like Stark Industries has some pretty good lawyers. Like, they would have been like, yeah, no.
That's a really good question.
Yeah,
like, get out of here with that.
First of all, who's in charge of Stark Industries right now? Gotta be Pepper. Well, she sucks.
I mean, she does suck, but
no. Here's why she sucks.
In theory, it's either Pepper Potts or Maria Hill. So
the whole thing about this whole thing is Mysterio saying, Spider-Man's Peter Parker. Stark Industry drones are blowing up everything, and the horrible the horrible Spider-Man is Menace and Andrew. Oh my God! Wait.
I thought we lost you.
Sorry, no. It was a text message.
Which universe? Which universe are you from, Andrew? Did you just come from another universe?
Oh, I just flipped into the Andrew Garfield universe, and we were like, "Yeah, hey, Andrew, what's up? Hey,
hey, I gotta go back to this podcast."
Yeah, we're good.
No. Okay, so Mysterio is saying, Peter Parker Spider-Man is a murderer. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and Stark Industries did a lot of bad stuff too. If I'm Stark Industries, I'm like, whoa, no, we're not. No,
damage control
we're not affiliated with this child. Like,
right, right. Stop saying things.
That was a weird plot point. They never really picked that up though. I don't know if they're going to do that in another movie.
But I forgot about it 5 seconds later, and I'm sure you guys
right. Exactly. because so much, so much happens.
And I'm just like, meh. There's better stuff going on.
Basically, the point of them doing that is to eliminate Peter from using Stark Industries and all of their resources to help him out
and stuff. Yeah,
at all. That's basically why that was done. I like that Ned is being interrogated and he's like, I'm not supposed to tell you anything, and then he tells them everything.
Yes,
I love Ned.
Ned is actually great in this movie, and I haven't really been drawn to him in the past too, but he's actually legitimately funny in this one.
He is.
Yeah, he was really. Well, that's another thing is Ned was awesome in this, and MJ freaking was awesome. She was
underutilized, but she was awesome in the scene she was in. I will agree with you on that. I think they could have used her more, but
I don't know. I think it was pretty perfect because they had so many people that they had to really get good time with, including the other Spider-Mans, which we can talk about. But I thought it was good. I thought it was a good balance. I didn't feel like there was anybody who was grossly neglected who needed to be showcased.
Yeah. Well,
I thought
compare.
MJ got kind of a little bit, especially towards the end, got a little bit shoved to the side, and we're just like, okay, you're just gonna be like this thing that we need to deal with at the end, and you're not really gonna do anything.
Well,
because they were just kind of waiting at the end. Like again, I'm nitpicking. I love this movie. I'm sitting here trying to be movie critic in my head, and I'm just like nitpicking little things. So,
as we've
I don't
seen with like
with
Avengers and other movies where you have a lot of characters, it's hard to get them all in. And that was one of my biggest complaints about Eternals was there were too many characters and it was hard to get them all involved. And
they did that wrong.
But
they did this right.
But if you compare this MJ to the other Spider-Man love interests, she's up there. She's up there.
I agree.
I like Zendaya.
I like her too.
Was before these movies, but I like Zendaya.
And I really liked the first. Why am I blanking on her name? I can picture the actress with Tobey Maguire. Kirsten Dunst. Yes. I loved her. I mean, I wasn't nuts about I have to say I wasn't nuts about the Andrew Garfield one, but I mean, I love. Why is my brain like fritzing today? I love Emma Stone. And I was happy to see her, but I love Zendaya. I think she's amazing. I think she's a really good MJ. Like she's perfect.
I like the fact. Did you guys catch this? That her name is actually it's
Michelle Jones.
Michelle Jones Watson.
Michelle Jones Watson. They dropped that in this one. We knew it was Michelle Jones, and so they could get the MJ thing away. But we didn't know that Watson was the last name, and she doesn't go by that. That was
interesting.
That was candy for me. I was just like, I love that.
Here's an interesting little thing you may have missed. Who is Tom Holland, Peter Parker's first love interest from Homecoming? I believe her name was like Karen Allen or Kim Allen or something like that, or whatever her name was. Something Allen.
I don't know who you're talking about.
It was in the first.
Allen. It's Liz Allen.
Oh, Liz Allen. Okay, in the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland.
He's crushing on a senior girl named Liz Allen. Yeah, Liz Allen is another comic book
who was
her background.
Who was Vulture's daughter.
What?
Remember Pam? She was Vulture's daughter.
Yes, I do remember. I do.
Anyway, there was a Time magazine article. It's like, oh, Iron Man Jr. or something like that, which basically he is.
Iron Man Jr.
There was other magazine articles. One of them was a People magazine article with her face with that Liz Allen, and the headline was "He's a liar." So they interviewed her. Everybody's a celebrity. Remember Flash made his own.
He wrote his novel
in Flashpoint, which is a whole other thing.
That's DC. We're not going that deep.
Not DC. It's a whole other DC, and it's actually a movie that's coming out this next year.
No, that's not what it's called though. It's not called Flashpoint.
It's
Flash. It's called The Flash.
It's called The Flash, but it's about Flashpoint. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that.
I was going to say, woo.
Whole other podcast.
Whole other. That's which is a fascinating subject. But anyway, okay. So we get to the first cheering point when they talk to their lawyer, Matt Murdock. Yeah!
Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock in the house.
Everybody was cheering and clapping. I'm like, am I supposed to like, hey, I did not expect him to be here. Okay, now you didn't. So you didn't know who that was, right, Pam?
I don't.
Okay, brief explanation. He's basically the lawyer to superheroes in the comics. Is that right, Andrew? He's basically there are many times when superheroes.
He's a blind lawyer in the comics, but he also suits up at night in a red jumpsuit and with horns and a cane, and he's blind and he jumps around buildings. Very similar.
He's
to Spider-Man.
blind, and he got his superpower from, and I love this origin story. He, as a kid, he was stuck in traffic, in a car with his parents, and there is a truck with an unknown chemical, that
radioactive chemical, because
radioactive chemical that runs that causes this big traffic accident, that causes this big wreck, and in it he gets exposed to this radioactive chemical, becomes blind, and also becomes becomes like a super fighter, even though he's blind. Now
he has like super hearing, super smell, like he can like
Spider-Man-esque.
things. What?
Spider-Man-esque, yeah,
Okay.
sort of like Spider-Man, but he
similar.
he can't fly or nothing. He can't.
Right.
He's
It's like-
legitimately
Now-
blind. Like they have those glasses on. He's legitimately blind.
You know who else had the same origin?
What?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's how the Ninja Turtles got started, from that
Dude.
same ooze.
Dude, everybody just got like bit by radioactive, covered in radioactive, exposed to radioactive. That was like how you got superpowers back then. Like back in the 60s, you just got superpowers because radioactivity was such an unknown thing. We didn't know it caused cancer. And everyone was like, expose me to radiation.
I didn't know about the turtles. That's cool.
Yeah, so same origin. That's so funny.
Slime is radioactive, and that's what causes them to grow.
Cool.
So
But
he's
how about the brick catch? The brick catch was freaking epic.
So a brick comes flying at him, and he and Peter is about to catch it, but he catches it.
Oh,
and
yeah, he just backhands it too. He doesn't
right, and
look.
he just obviously
got it.
without looking, yeah. And they say, "How did you do that?" It's like, "I'm a really good lawyer."
Really good lawyer.
I love that line. That was a good line. Without even knowing the whole story, that was a good line.
Just the way he delivered it. So
Yeah,
now
I
the
agree.
question is, does that mean all of the Netflix MCU stuff is now canon?
No, Kevin Feige came out before this movie, before any of the Hawkeye stuff came out, and said that when and if Daredevil ever appears in the MCU, he will be played by Charlie Cox. Now, that was obviously hidden messaging because Kevin Feige already knew that Charlie Cox was in this movie at the time he made that statement. But I have very, very high suspicions, especially, and we're not going to do a Hawkeye retrospective right now, but given the events of Hawkeye episode 5, very, very high suspicion Charlie Cox appears in the 6th episode of Hawkeye.
Well, that totally makes sense, because we already saw from Hawkeye episode 5 at the end of it that Kingpin is showing up.
Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin specifically.
Right. So now let's just look at this from a business perspective. MCU is owned by Marvel Studios, which is basically Disney. All of that other stuff was on Netflix, which has nothing to do with Marvel Studios or Disney. So they don't want you to think about all those Netflix shows.
But Netflix has no reason to not sell it to Disney. Like at this point, you're at the highest of your hype for this show. I started rewatching Daredevil from season 1 because of that movie.
Well, my
sell this now. Sell high, man. Like
my point is, but they don't want you to think. They just want you to think like someone like Pam, who's not familiar with this or has not seen those shows. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to see those shows. They're going to reintroduce those characters their own way.
Okay, so you think they're just going to do a complete reboot, but with the same actors?
Soft reboot, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah, good
Charlie
for
Cox,
good for
Vincent
Pam.
D'Onofrio, John Berthenel as Punisher. Bring all 3 of them back. Yeah, the rest of them I could kind of leave by the wayside. The rest of them are okay.
Yeah, we'll see. So they go to Happy's condo. Yeah.
Dummy.
Okay.
We
What?
get Dummy back. The arm.
Oh, the arm, the mechanical arm. Yeah.
Yeah, Dummy. We get Dummy back.
Who was actually like one of the few things that was left with from Iron Man 2. Was it Iron Man 2 that his condo his Malibu house dream home got destroyed?
Iron Man 3 was where
That's
the man
3,
blew everything up.
Oh, that was 3. Okay. Okay. So this is okay. So now Peter starts school I have a problem with this, but he starts school and it is a media circus.
What do you have a
Everybody's
problem with?
watching. What I have a problem with is the world has just learned that he basically went from, kid who has a secret identity as an Avenger, and now the entire world knows your identity. You're going to go to a public school, bro. Homeschool.
Hold up. That school he goes to is not a public school. That is a private science and technological school.
Okay.
It's very exclusive. That is why, and when we get to the ends, we'll get to the ends. That is why when they're configuring all the cures and whatnots, they have the materials, because it is specific, highly exclusive, similar to, and Joe, you're the only one that's going to get the reference, the school that Miles Morales goes to in Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
So it is an exclusive technical school. That's why they think they can get into MIT, because they have good grades and all that. It's very exclusive.
I get it though. It's like, seriously, dude, you're just gonna walk right back into your school after this just happened.
What learning is he gonna do when the entire, you saw every student was like surrounding him and taking
with
picture.
the phones.
And then
if I'm that school, no offense, I'm taking away cell phones as you walk in the door. I don't give a shit about.
The teachers were just as bad.
So. If you're gonna sit there and take video of a student without his consent, snatch.
Forget about Spider-Man. Let's say some kid, you have a teenage kid and they get involved in some viral story or some huge story that everybody's talking about. You're going to send them back to school where it's going to be a media circus and stuff, even if it's a private school or whatever. There's no learning going on. All you're doing is just creating problems.
I feel like they just didn't, between Peter and Aunt May, they just did not grasp. Maybe they just weren't. That's how they finally learned to grasp the brevity of the whole thing.
Maybe they thought that, this will blow over.
Yeah.
Well, and that speaks to Peter's naivete at that time. Peter Parker, for all his flaws, he always wants to assume the best in people in pretty much every one of his iterations. So I get that he'd just be like, oh, all the legal stuff flew over. I don't have to worry about this anymore. But Matt Murdock, he said in that meeting, I got you out of legal court, but there's always the court of public opinion.
Right.
And that was personified when they walk in and the principal and the teachers are there and they built that like little shrine to him. And they're like, oh, we want to welcome our one superhero. And the other teachers over here like, he killed Mysterio.
Right.
Yeah. Hannibal Buress. I love that guy.
Hannibal Buress.
I love him.
The other thing, and this is a minor point. Yeah, he says to Peter, just like, yeah, I got you out of this. Happy, I not getting you out of your problem. And I think that the problem is, with Stark Industries is they gave all kinds of military weaponry and all these things to a minor.
Yeah.
Oops. I can see that. I can see how, it's a corporation or something like that could get into trouble.
Happy had no control over the glasses. That was Tony Stark. Tony Stark like bequeathed them to him. Happy didn't have any control over that. Happy's just the head of security. Like,
Happy gave it to him though.
Happy's not legal. He doesn't get to choose who Tony bequeaths things to. Like that's,
but it doesn't matter whether
unhappy,
but yeah, Happy's still in trouble. But anyway, so yeah, Flash is there with his book and stuff, who, blah blah blah. Okay, so so this is where they find out that all of schools have rejected them, including MIT.
Yeah,
basically because
coffee shop. Yeah.
So, and then Peter gets the idea to talk to Doctor Strange
because of the Halloween lights.
Because of the Halloween lights, yeah.
He just looks at the Halloween and is like, "Oh, that looks like kind of like a sorcerer," and he's like, "I got this." We
learn that Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme
because of a technicality. Because Doctor Strange got blipped.
Here's my question about that. Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme. When was the last time we saw Wong?
Yeah,
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, yeah. Why?
Wong was fighting Abomination. You have the sorcerer supreme, the greatest sorcerer in the universe or whatever.
I mean,
and
he was the
he's
greatest sorcerer in the universe at the time he was crowned that. That
he's
doesn't make him the best.
but still, if he has this important position, what's he doing out there fighting monsters in a
Maybe he's earning money
bar?
for Convertage. It's not a charity, for crying out loud.
He's raising money. Sure, he's right.
No, I honestly don't have an answer for that, but yes, that is a great
I
question.
mean, it's a minor
Why is he
thing,
fighting
but
Abomination in like MMA fight rings with chains?
Yeah.
Like that is a weird thing.
just wondering. By the way, I mean, I know it's lousy, but I tried to dress like Doctor Strange. I tried to make
I'm liking it.
I tried to make my facial hair
Oh,
like
is
that. I
what
don't.
that's supposed to be? I totally thought you were
Thank
the
you.
Superman like gig with the red cape and the
I'm
blue
Superman.
outfit. Yeah, no, I get it. I get
Doctor
it.
Strange.
Love it.
It's the best I could do in 5
portal
minutes.
circles, we might be able to come to you.
Yeah. I want to do that really badly. If Ned can do it, I want to do it.
Seriously, I have the tingles in my hands. I mean, that may be diabetes, but
Pam does a lot of traveling. It would be very nice to just step into a portal instead
Wouldn't
of
it now? Oh my God. Yeah.
Try-
dude,
It's a drive
ever
several
actually
hours.
invent teleportation, I'm the first person to sign up because I hate driving. Driving is a
Yeah.
chore.
I love driving.
I hate driving.
I love
Driving
driving. Well, I'm traveling a lot lately, and I the one thing I do like about it is I get to listen to podcasts like this one.
Same.
Valid. Okay.
So Peter goes with Doctor Strange. We learned that Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme, but he says, "Well, can't you just do the time thing?" And he's like, "Well, I don't have the time stone anymore, dummy." So it's like, okay,
Glad they actually kept that continuity.
yeah. But he still has the Eye of Agamotto, whatever.
All right, so I actually read stuff on this, and because I've read the comics, the Eye of Agamotto doesn't in the comics doesn't always house the time stone. It's still a powerful relic that gives him magical powers. So don't treat it as the time stone purely. It still gives him strength.
And Agamotto is actually a dude.
Agamotto was the original Sorcerer Supreme. They did this whole way back in prehistoric age Avengers thing. It was complicated. He was the original Sorcerer Supreme that started all this. So
he takes him to the basement of the sanctum, and it's a site that's thousands of years old, and that's at the crossroads of all
and stuff,
realities, and they shot an episode of the Equalizer there.
I thought it was pretty funny.
That was a weird shout out.
I liked it.
The Equalizer.
That was a
weird pop culture thing in there. Yeah, that was good.
Okay, so this is where he does this, and this is I saw this on Twitter. So Peter says, I want everybody to forget that I am Spider-Man.
That Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Right, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Oh, except for Ned, except for MJ. Okay, and Aunt May, and and Happy too, and okay, so there were what, 5 different times.
He said he made 6 different changes. That's what he said. He said
he wanted one original change, and then he made 5 additional changes. So
no, technically the changes were MJ, Ned, Aunt May, Happy, and I'm not sure who. And then the final one was okay. Well, anybody that knows that knew I was Peter Pan. Okay, but there were 6.
You're counting that one as when he was like everybody.
Here's what I think. They don't say what the 6th one is. I'll bet the 6th one was Doctor Strange making sure that he didn't know. Maybe.
No, I disagree with that because of the final scene. The final scene where Doctor Strange is like he doesn't want to do the spell. He's like, no, because we'll forget all the great things you did and nobody will know. And Peter just lets him do it. And he's like, fine. And he because Doctor Strange isn't going to remember in the next movie.
Right.
So Spider-Man may swing in. He'll be like, who the fuck's that? So.
Oh, dude, I forgot that. Please don't swear.
Sorry. Who the heck is that?
Yeah, who the heck is that? Okay, so the last thing he says is, I want anybody who knew that I was Spider-Man. Before all this, before that. And that is what basically creates all of the problems because it attracts.
and then he has to condense the spell. And
well, but he thinks that that's just like, you know, Ned, MJ, Happy, Aunt May, Doctor Strange, whatever. And that's actually everybody from every universe that knows that Peter
But
Parker.
who knew? All those bad guys are the ones who knew who he was. Yeah, I know. I thought about that. They knew.
There are two caveats in that though, because Electro, when he died, didn't know who Spider-Man was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Keep going. There's
someone said there's so much to talk about. All he needed to say was, I need everybody to forget what Mysterio said about me being Spider-Man. That's it. Yeah. Movie's over. We're done. We're done. That's it. That's it. And I mean,
and would you have paid the movie theater price to watch that 30-minute short? No, you would have not.
Wait, you mean this was on the documentary? But that's another weird thing. It's like, okay, so Doctor Strange, you're going to do a spell that is going to affect every person in the universe. You're not going to talk about it or think it out or finalize plans or something like that, because he's like, okay, yeah, like.
In his mind, because remember, he's a surgeon. He's been given like a set of things to do. He's like, okay, I got this. I can do this thing. And then he forgets he's dealing with a teenager who, when he's like, everyone's about to forget who Spider-Man is, he does a little swirly John. And then Peter's like, wait, everybody? And he starts spazzing out like a teenager. Doctor Strange doesn't know how to deal with that. When have you ever seen Doctor Strange interact with a teenager outside of Infinity War when he was in his spider suit? Like, that was a different thing. Doctor Strange doesn't know how to deal with that, like, flightiness.
One of Doctor Strange's weaknesses from his original movie is that he has this God complex thing going on in his head anyway. So he's probably like, sure, I can do that. Not even thinking about everybody else he really should discuss this with, you know? That's the first thing I thought. God complex
with Peter.
Remember Wong's like, I want nothing to do with this. Like
where did Wong peace out to?
Keep me out of this. Yeah. Wong went to fight. It's like, I'd rather fight Abomination than deal with this.
I was gonna say, where did he peace out to though? I want to know where Wong is right now.
Yeah, he's in Shang-Chi land somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he goes to. Is this where he goes to find
the dean of
MIT lady?
Right. Yeah.
I do like that Doctor Strange is like, you didn't ask them first.
I know.
Oh, that's right. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
That's
keep painting Peter. You keep forgetting that he's just a kid, and that's another one of those little things that, yes, he's just a kid. Did he think of that? No, he's just being a dumb kid. I like that. I love that.
The whole thing. This whole thing was, hey, Doctor Strange, this really inconveniences me, my girlfriend, my best friend, my aunt, and Happy. There's 5 people that are inconvenienced by this. So can you change the universe?
Yeah.
So because I can't get into this college.
He doesn't know that it's the universe, quote unquote. He thinks he's changing the minds of the people that like saw the video, like the world, I guess.
He's in his little bubble, though, which is
all
so
right.
difficult.
Your point is valid.
It's a very teenage thing to do. It's like, oh my God, my world is ending. Yeah.
And it's a very grounding thing in this movie of superheroes and crazy, fantastic things. It grounds it in a reality that I love. I love that.
Yeah.
There's this realistic factor. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Very, very human, very realistic factor.
Yeah.
That another, not the crap on Eternals again that we were missing in Eternals. But anyway.
Exactly. I didn't care about any of these characters, any of those characters and their problems. I care about these characters in this movie.
I care deeply about everybody in this movie.
Exactly. And
I care deeply
about the bridge.
I care deeply about that gym teacher that thinks that Mysterio was right. I care deeply about him. I care deeply about that loser teacher you know what he did? He was taking selfies of himself. He he didn't Photoshop. He just pasted a picture of himself. There was a picture of Peter and MJ when they made the little shrine in Europe. He put himself into that picture to make it look like he was there. I care about him more than I care about Eternals.
I care about him because his wife apparently left him and pretended she was blipped, and then he found out 5 years later she just ran off with another dude.
Very funny. Very funny. So Peter goes, he finds the MIT chancellor, whatever that was, and here comes another. Here you go, Doc Ock.
Hello, Peter.
Love Doc Ock. Love him.
I love Alfred Molina as Doc Ock too.
Great
he looks
character.
so good. Thank God they
Great
put a
actor.
shirt on that man. Like,
Because they didn't have a shirt on him before. Yeah.
That was not my favorite part of that movie.
Hey, which Spider-Man? What was that? Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. That was a good. I mean, he's a good villain. He's a good
He was a good villain. Just put a shirt on the guy. Like,
Yeah, he's a great actor. He's got a compelling story. I like his tie to Peter Parker. The whole thing. I mean, it works. Everything about Doc Ock works for me.
I love and you know and I love when he says, "What have you done with my machine?" And he says, "The power of sun, in the palm of your hand."
Just like he did in Spider-Man 2. It's like he's right back there. You're right back there in that moment from Spider-Man 2 with him when he says that. I love that.
Oh yeah.
And this is a
Good
really
fight
cool,
scene, too.
really cool callback. So he's about to get to kill Peter, and Peter's nano suit takes over Doc Ock's arm.
That was cool.
It doesn't naturally take over. Doc Ock rips it off and realizes what it is, and it's nanotech, and incorporates it naturally into his armor, because his armor is technically AI, so it's like self-repairing and all that crap. So Peter didn't do that on purpose, but Peter did do the smart thing and pair that Bluetooth device and take over those octopus arms. That was amazing.
That was amazing.
And that is actually a callback to that movie, because they were working on nanotech way back then. So when he sees that, Doc Ock was not surprised. He's like, "Oh, you have nanotech." It's like,
"Oh, you figured it out." Oh,
yeah, you figured it out because they were working on it way back then.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That was cool.
They paid so much attention to all those movies and got almost every little detail.
Yeah.
All the great callbacks.
Almost every detail.
I'm nerding.
Same. Oh my God.
So
I did like the confusion moment where he rips off the mask, and I know it was in the trailer, but I still like chuckled at it in the theater. It's like, "You're not Peter Parker."
That's great.
I'm so confused right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green Goblin shows up with a pumpkin bomb, throws a bomb, but
like
as
2 seconds, I didn't like that introduction. That should have been a bigger thing.
But I mean, it makes sense, because then Doctor Strange takes Peter and Doc Ock away.
Valid.
And yeah, so it makes sense. So then Doc Ock is in the dungeon now, and
so is Lizard.
Oh yeah, Lizard's there.
I have to say, I barely remember the Lizard guy.
Yeah, Lizard, not a.
I remember everybody, and
the
I
Lizard
remember
is inconsequential to this entire movie.
Yeah,
he's there for something to fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's consistent. If you're going to bring back all those villains, you got to bring him back too. But at the same time, I was like, okay, wait, what was his deal? Like, I don't know.
He wants to turn everybody into lizards. He makes a joke the other day in the cells, like, "Hey, I could cure you by turning me into a lizard." Yeah.
What I don't even know. Now, keep in mind, I never saw any of the Andrew Garfield movies. So, was he in one of those?
Yeah,
he was in the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah, I didn't
built
even
this
see
big tower on Oscorp and had this chemical that was going to turn the whole city into lizards. That was his whole big ploy.
And that's all I remember about him.
He's not a good villain.
And then we get the scene where Peter says, "Oh, I'm going to need my friends," and they have that great scene where Dr. Strange says, well, Scooby Doo this stuff.
Yeah.
And MJ
And
says,
I know a really good word, a magic word that starts with please.
please. I know some magic words
Scooby-Doo
too.
this crap. That was great.
Really?
I've been using that Scooby-Doo this crap in everyday conversation ever since I saw that trailer. Not gonna lie.
And Ned says to Doctor Strange, it's like, I have magic running in my family, and I get this tingling. He's like, well, you should see a doctor about that.
I like the scene where he walks and he's like, can't believe I'm in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Neither can I.
Yeah,
Like
Doctor
the
Strange is pretty
deadpan
cool.
between Doctor Strange and Ned is like one of my favorite parts of this movie. They're just like, they play off each other because he's just like so hyped, and Doctor Strange is like, I can't believe this is happening to me right now.
Sorry, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say, Pam?
Oh, I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah, we're okay. So this is where they're so they're looking for, because he's saying go on that internet thing and go look for stuff. Go look for and that's where they find that there's a disturbance at the electric plant or whatever. And the
electric factory. I'm gonna call it
that. So Spider-Man goes there, and there's Electro, and Sandman. Hey, and Sandman actually helps Peter.
He only helps because he thinks it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they they contain him, and he says, "You're just going to ignore that I'm buck-ass naked right now."
That was funny. Yeah,
that was. I have to say, Jamie Foxx's Electro way better in this movie than in Spider-Man 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like so much better. Like such a better character.
They address the issue where, I mean, in that movie, he had a comb over, he had buck teeth, he was all ugly, and they reference that. They talk about that. It's like, man, you were really ugly back then, and now you're really good looking.
He keeps saying when he's in the MCU universe, he's like, I like the energy here. Like it feels different. I feel different. And so I think that's part of it, is that he's pure energy. And he's just absorbing energy from the universe, and he feels a little bit more confident. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like I like Jamie Foxx's performance.
Here's what actually happened. Jamie Foxx is like, yeah, I'll come back. I'm gonna be good looking. I don't want to be that ugly.
He was the first one. He was the first one when they went back and tried to recruit all these people. He was the first one to agree.
Yeah,
true.
So they contain him. They contain him. They contain Sandman. They contain a tree. Ned thinks it's like it's some tree. That part. Well, because Peter. The first time Peter tried to contain Electro, it just bounced off him and it hit a tree and it captured the tree and the thing. It's like, is that a superhero? It's like, no, it's just a tree.
They get everybody but. They get everybody but. Green Goblin.
Osborn, Green Goblin.
Yeah. Which was brilliant. I love the way they did that. And I love, go ahead, Joey. I won't jump on you.
Well, we have the scene where he is talking to the mask, and the mask, he's fighting with the mask, and you think the mask is the evil thing.
That is my favorite callback of this entire movie, is him having a conversation, is Osborn and Goblin having that like back and forth with themselves.
And that Willem Dafoe face, like that face, so classic. It's scary and creepy. I love that scene.
So good.
Yeah, that whole, I don't even know how he did it. He goes from being simple and looking just like a nice guy, and then he just looks evil incarnate. I love it. Such a good actor.
So can I also add something? Willem Dafoe agreed to come back on 2 conditions. One, they would not CGI him down age-wise. And so that's how he really looks these days. So kudos to the man. He doesn't look that different. And 2, he would get to do pretty much every one of his own stunts that wasn't too dangerous to his life. So pretty much all the fight scenes, even the one where like Spider-Man power bombs him through the floor later, that's all Willem Dafoe.
Willem man is 66 and he's doing his own stunts.
That man has like Jackie Chan level respect for me on the doing your own stunts thing, because like he literally said in interviews, like, it's no fun if they're just gonna go back and CGI me in on scenes and like I don't get to act and I don't get to do the actual stuff. Like, put me in these scenes. That is the only reason. That was the only way he agreed to be back. He said, I have to do like most of my own stunts. Anything that's physically too dangerous for actual, like anything but actual stunt doubles, I will bow out for. But anything that I can do, I will do.
I'm
and
not sure.
I respect that man.
Did they do that with Alfred Molina too, or
No.
did they have to de-age him or something like that?
Alfred Molina was de-aged. Yes, Alfred Molina was significantly de-aged. If you watch the interviews, he looks way older. Willem Dafoe does not look significantly older than Willem Dafoe looked in the 2002 movie. Willem Dafoe doesn't age, apparently. He just looks old all the time.
A couple more wrinkles, that's it. He looks great. Looks great.
Yeah. That's why I'm so stoked for Boondock Saints 3. Yeah, let's go.
Alfred Molina is 68, and yeah, he looks a lot older than he did in the movie. So yeah. So okay. So and this is the one callback though. So he's fighting. He's arguing with his evil part, the mask, and he smashes the mask and he throws it away.
That mask.
Yeah, that was such a
dumb Power Rangers.
Yeah, seriously. But it is almost an exact thing that I believe Tobey Maguire did when he decided he didn't want to be Spider-Man anymore, and he threw the costume aside and he just walked away. It was the exact, like almost shot for shot, the exact same thing. But this is Green Goblin walking away from his. That is an exact replicated shot from Spider-Man 2, where he loses his powers, which is an exact replicated shot from the cover of Spider-Man No More. Which is an iconic Spider-Man run where he loses his powers. So yes, you're absolutely right on that, Joe.
That one action though also gives the impression that maybe he really is just Norman Osborn now. Like
maybe he destroyed the Goblin.
The impetus to believe that. Yes.
Right, the Goblin is done because the mask is gone.
Yeah, I mean,
and we know that that's not the case, but we think that.
And it's very effective. Like you actually. He's coming back at some point, but you think something's going to happen at some point. Not that he's actually just like totally pulling one over on everybody. Like brilliant.
Well, I don't think he's pulling one over on anybody. He's just schizophrenic. He just has these two parts of him that are constantly battling.
Right. It has nothing to do with the mask. It's in here. It wasn't in the mask.
Exactly.
What I thought was what you're saying, Pam, is that he destroyed the Goblin in that moment, but that. So they go in later, and this is a little further online, but Peter injects him with, or Tom Holland's version of Peter injects him with the cure at one point, and I'm thinking, like my original thinking was, oh, that's what turned him back into the Goblin, because he effed up the formula, like he messed it up. But I don't think that's actually the case. I think he was split personality the entire time. I think there was Norman, and then there was Goblin, and
there was Norman and Bad
Norman.
Like. Even at the very beginning of Spider-Man, it was Norman and crappy father, mean ass. Sorry, excuse my language. It was crappy father Norman who was horrible to his own son. So that, to me, that made it seem like it was more. That's the problem right there. It wasn't just a mask. Norman has issues.
Right.
Period.
Right. Valid. So he. Aunt May tells Peter, like, hey, I have one of the people you're looking for. He just wandered in. And
at Feast, yay,
at Feast, the homeless shelter, and
big call out.
Spider-Man is freaking out. He's like, oh my god, I gotta get there right away. It's like, oh, it's just Aunt May talking to some dude.
Although I did like that they gave him like the purple hoodie and like the green jacket in like kind of an homage to like the comic book one where he just like is a green guy flying around with a hood and like a goblin mask throwing pumpkin bombs. Like that. I like that nod. That was a good nod.
So Aunt May says, well, you have to save him. And it's like, wow. I mean, that's just a really, I mean, I know that there's a lot of things going on there, but it's like you have all these people from other universes and you're saying you got to save them all. Like
Aunt May if you look on the tombstone at the very end of the movie, it has that quote, and it's from it's from one of the iconic comics. It's also in the video game that says, "If you save one person, or if you help one person, you help everyone." And so that's the whole.
Also, that little 3-word phrase, "No one dies." That's also a big thing from the comics.
Yeah. So, but like Aunt May is supposed to be his moral center in this. She's playing, and I know we're gonna get into it later, and I hate that I'm saying this. Sorry about that. That is a timer. So, and I know I'm saying this a little too early, but she's his Uncle Ben. So, and I know we'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, I fully bought into that. I think Peter was really ready to like get everybody back and push the button at that point.
Right.
Like
right.
he was done. He was out.
Yeah.
But I think Aunt May kind of made him realize that like I can be better by helping these people and maybe helping their futures and then sending them back than I can be by just being like, no, I don't care, push. So
at one point, Peter says something like, "Hey, that's not my problem," which is another callback to first Spider-Man, when some dude is about to, commit some crime and
robbing the place where he was wrestling or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Peter's like, "That's not my problem," and the guy ends up killing Uncle Ben. So another callback.
Dude, this movie's full of them. I'm sure I missed like 20 of them, but
it's so well just woven into the past. It's really amazing.
Yeah. But okay, so they bring in Norman to the dungeon, and Peter and Doctor Strange have that conversation. And here's a shout out to Rocky 4 when Doctor Strange says, "If they die, they die."
Yeah,
that's what Ivan Drago said.
I know. I thought the same thing.
Really?
I did.
I mean,
First thing I thought of
saying that, but
if they die, they die. Yeah.
If he died,
then Peter and Doctor Strange have that fight because Peter takes the box.
The MacGuffin. Let's just call it what it is.
The MacGuffin. It's a MacGuffin. Yeah. And they fight through the mirror dimension and
wait, you skipped over my favorite part. The part where Doctor Strange kicks Peter's spirit out of him and he's still holding the box, and Peter's body still dodges
because of Spidey sense.
That's what I originally thought too. I've heard other theories though. So he's also connected to this thing called the Web of Destiny, which allows him to feel tremors throughout the multiverse. So that may have been multiversal versions of him dodging punches.
Interesting. So is the Web of Destiny the whole thing where basically every universe has the radioactive spider that bites someone, whether it's Peter Parker or Miles Morales or Gwen
Stacy
or a pig?
Yes.
By the way, real quick, Pam, remember how we kept saying you have to watch Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
If you do, that's cool, but you really don't have to, because this basically was the same idea.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's almost the same. It's almost the same concept. All like different Spider-Mans fighting together.
Cool.
Different villains. Yeah. Like
more.
There you go.
So okay, so Peter uses geometry to trap.
I love that, actually. I know
math rules, man.
An Archimedean spiral. It's like,
whatever the heck that is.
Yeah, whatever that is. You know what? It's do you ever have that spirograph? Did you ever try to?
That little thing you put on a little screw pad, and makes you draw.
With the pin, you put the pin on, and yeah.
Clearly, Peter has played a lot with spirograph. By the way, I never got that thing to work. It always was a disaster when I tried to make a spirograph.
I loved it.
All right, so clearly Joey could not have defeated Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension. We have settled that fight forever, people.
Right. I would not have done that. So he traps Doctor Strange, I guess, in the Grand Canyon or something like that.
You don't
the
know
mirror
until later,
dimension, man.
but,
Yeah.
It is what it is. Just call it the
Okay.
mirror dimension. It's
So-
wherever it wants to be.
Okay, so this is where Peter decides we're going to help all of the villains. We're going to cure you or whatever. And this is where Norman Osborn, I love this line. He says, I could help. You know what? I think I like to think of myself somewhat of a scientist myself.
I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
My most popular tweet was a reference to that around when the NFL, this recent NFL draft, when everybody was saying the Steelers you can't draft a running back in the first round, blah, 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 blah. It's like, basically I said all Steelers fans right now is like, you know what, I'm somewhat of a GM myself.
I remember that. That's a good one.
But Lizard says, hey, when you try to fix people, there are consequences.
That was a good line.
That is probably the most significant line Lizard says all movie.
Okay, so then they go to Happy's condo, and I like where Electro and Sandman are sharing their origin stories. It's like, well, I fell into the thing with eels. Like, oh, I fell into this super collider.
Collider, yeah.
It's like, well, you got to watch where you fall.
Yeah, be careful where you fall.
That was pretty good. I did like that moment.
Yeah, this is where here's another MacGuffin. The Tony Stark, the Stark Industries
the
machine
thing?
that just magically makes cures or whatever.
No. I thought of the name of this. This is the MacGuffin creator.
The MacGuffin creator
just creates the things that they're chasing throughout the rest of the movie.
Right.
Like it's the MacGuffinator.
But it works on Doc Ock.
They
he's
create
able
a new inhibitor chip.
Yeah. So he's okay. He's cured.
And Norman seems to be Norman at that point.
Right. And Electro is about to be cured. He's like,
they got
right
that little beeper thing on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I love. It's like, very slowly going from one to the other. But he's like, something's not right about this.
Sandman gets cured too, doesn't he? Before that, because he goes no.
Sandman does not get cured.
Sandman doesn't get cured. Yeah.
And this is where then Peter gets Spidey sense. It's like,
he gets the Peter tingle.
The tingle, and he's like, something. He doesn't know what, but something is not right. And then, oh boy, Norman goes. It's like, what does he say? It's not a curse. It's a gift.
Yeah.
That sounded really good. Good job.
What's that?
That sounded good. Good job.
I need to work on my Green Goblin voice. So yeah, and now that was a reference to one of the previous movies where somebody, I think Tobey Maguire said that, and one is like, it's not a curse, it's a gift. But anyway, okay.
Well,
so
Goblin talks a lot in the first movie about how this is a gift and you should use it to get all you want. It comes back later in the next scene, but
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, here we have, it's basically Goblin doing most of the damage. Everybody else, like all the other villains, just leave.
I mean, Sandman pieces out, Electro takes the arc reactor, pieces out, Lizard was in the truck the whole time and just spooks
Right.
JJ.
Oh, at the same time, J. Jonah Jameson is coming over because he got that
He's
tip.
got the SWAT team with him.
Ugh.
How does JJ have that kind of pull?
Well, he went from because he became so popular in it was all those vitamins he's selling, all those Daily Bugle vitamins.
All right. Can we just call out that that's an Alex Jones?
Oh, that's totally Alex Jones. Totally
Alex Jones knock, like hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, so bottom line, they have this fight. They wreck this condo. By the way, where's everybody else in this condo?
Yeah.
You know what? They
vacation.
did reference.
They're on vacation. It's Christmas. They're on vacation.
Well, okay, but they did reference in the news report that like there were many people injured, but one death.
I mean, I don't think the building collapsed. Spider-Man, no, because Spider-Man slams Goblin through floors, not like supporting walls and stuff into the lobby, and then
He
Goblin comes back with a pumpkin bomb, and that blows up the lobby again. But that's not the whole building.
Okay, but there's multiple holes in multiple floors now, you know, and you don't think
I'm assuming all hallways are hallways in this condo. Like, I don't know, maybe like I don't know.
maybe
Again, this is nitpicking for me. This is like I don't care about these details.
It's a
I'm
nitpick.
having so much fun right now.
Bottom line, they're on the bottom, and the thing that hits May, Green Goblin's, you know, whatever that thing is, that the floating thing hits May, and you think she's okay, and you know, and you have that moment with Peter and Aunt May, and she says the line. Actually, she says it a little bit differently. I think she says, "With great power, there must come great responsibility."
You can say it slightly differently. You're right.
And usually it's just with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. I mean, because Peter is basically saying, you know, it's like, oh, this is all my fault. I did the wrong thing. It's like, no, you did the right thing. And
but he's just so caught up in her death. So.
Well, we were just talking about the speed, you know, what she told him.
Oh, I heard.
You know,
I heard
with a great
thing.
Yeah,
I just had to step in the other room.
I thought you went back to. I thought you went back to the other dimension or something.
No, I didn't have to step into the other dimension. I literally just had to step in because my dogs were doing things, and I had to get a drink. So I'm good.
So
I'm good, guys.
Yeah, Aunt May dies.
This was my first
I
crime
didn't see coming. I did not. Did you guys know that was going to happen?
No, I did not know.
No idea that was going to happen. I was like, she's not dead. She's not dead.
No.
Yeah. They just take her to the hospital.
They did the bait and switch. She stood up, look, because I thought she was dead. And then she stood up and she's like, oh, I'm fine. And then she falls over again. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I cried. This was my first cry.
Oh, I cried.
So if you bought the soundtrack that was released before this movie, there is a track on that called May Dies. And so you could have known beforehand. I'm not kidding. Apparently,
yeah, really.
If you bought the soundtrack, you would have known that scene was coming. That's why I avoid leaks and spoilers, everybody.
Yeah, it stinks. It stinks because people go out of their way to spoil things. Oh, there goes Andrew again in a mirror dimension. Dang it!
No, right?
Anyway,
I'm sorry, I'm getting phone calls from people.
No, it's okay.
I'm a popular person. I mean, can't you tell by the hoodie? I mean,
people want to be him.
So we go to Ned and MJ, and they're just waiting for Peter, because Peter said, "Hey, when I give the word, you push the button on the MacGuffin, and they'll all go away." And they're waiting, and you know, they haven't heard anything, and then Ned does the magic. Now, here's a question. Why was it so hard for Dr. Strange to do the magic, but it's so easy for Ned?
I has answers.
Go.
So Dr. Strange didn't believe in magic at first. He had also just broken every fiber of his hands. So like he couldn't even like do things with his hands very well. Ned literally walks into the Sanctum Sanctorum and is like, hey, my grandma says we have some magic on our side, and I feel this tingle in my hand sometimes. So the sling ring in Doctor Strange is supposed to be like the easiest thing to do. Like that's the easiest. If you have it, that's the easiest magic you can cast.
And he couldn't get it because Strange was trying to force it. At one point, I forget her name, but she says, "You're trying to move a river" or something like that. You can't just move a river.
You can't force a river. You have to let it flow.
Yeah.
And Ned is just like, Ned's not trying to do anything other than find Peter, and so he just like puts it up and is just like, yeah, I got this.
So
and like he closes his eyes and he's just like, find Peter Parker.
Right. He's like, find Peter Parker. And there's Peter Parker, and it's Andrew Garfield. And
I love his entrance too. How he just turns and he's like, oh, that's a thing.
Oh, hey.
And he like walks to it like casually, and he's just like, huh, okay. Rip the mask off. He's like, this is probably magical shit. Like, I should probably just let them know that I'm Peter Parker.
Yeah. And that scene with Andrew Garfield and Ned and MJ and Ned's grandma.
That was awesome.
Oh, I love them. I love that
and
they're just throwing rolls at him.
MJ
Like,
is
please
just
stop
throwing
that.
bread at him.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like
Like-
that scene.
Oh, Ned's grandma, can you get that cobweb? And he's like, fine. And he does the wall crawl stuff.
He's
and
like-
pulls down the thing.
Why do you keep throwing bread at me?
And then they try it again because like it's not the right Peter. They don't even bother to send the other Peter back, like not knowing who this dude is. There's just a dude in the
Well,
house.
he doesn't know how to send anybody back.
I mean, he could open the. Well, true.
Yeah, because
that's
because
valid.
basically,
All right, now-
Part of the problem. Yeah.
yeah, he
valid
opens
point,
it,
Valid point.
and while he's thinking about it, it's still open. But then when he turns around and stops thinking about it, it closes. Like, that just closed. So I'm kind of screwed now.
Maybe that's what he should have done during the fight at the end, but
Yeah,
like run
right.
away from it long enough.
Yeah. So they do it again, and here comes Tobey Maguire. Oh, so
I love
Just like the church pastor.
yeah, the church pastor. And what's one of the first things they do to each other is they both try to hit each other
They
with
don't whip each other.
yeah. I love this so much.
So much.
This my heart grew 3 sizes this day. Like this is my Grinch moment. I was just like, yes, I love the world again.
I love it. So they say, okay, so Peter is probably in a place where he goes to hide. Where is that? And they're talking about, it's like, well, for me it's I forget what the Rockefeller Center is.
For Maguire, it's the Chrysler building.
Chrysler building, and
Empire
Andrew, it's the Empire State.
it's like, that's a really good.
And
It's
he's
yeah,
like,
it's a
oh
really
yeah,
good-
great views, man.
Yeah. And they go to, but for Peter does not have those
he's like
references.
really defensive. He's like, no, get back. He doesn't know who these people are.
But still,
I like that part, though.
but that's one thing is, Chrysler building, Empire State Building, school, because really Tom Holland has not experienced, a lot of the things.
He's done Avengers things, and then he's done like things in Queens, and there's no tall buildings in Queens, so that's
Right.
his spot.
Right. So that's a spot. So yeah, they go there, and Ned and MJ give him a hug, and then Toby and Andrew are there, and basically Tom Holland says, "Hey, I just experienced loss. You don't know what that's like." They're like,
Hold up, son.
Yeah, actually.
You must know.
Yeah. And and this is this where this is where Andrew says, well, after Gwen died, I became rageful and I stopped pulling my punches. And
That was my second cry scene.
and Toby said, it's like, listen, because Tom said, I want to kill him. I want to kill him. It's like, well, it's not going to help. Toby said, I killed the person who killed Uncle Ben. It didn't help. So
this was the second scene that I teared up at. Like especially when Andrew Garfield was like, I got rageful. Like Andrew Garfield, for whatever you want to say about the other Spider-Man actors, Andrew Garfield might be the best actor in that trilogy. Like pure actor. I'm not talking about as Spider-Man. I'm talking about pure actor.
Best actor, but when you think of like how they're received, right now I would say Tom Holland number 1, Tobey Maguire number 2, Andrew Garfield number 3.
Yeah.
And I think
Andrew Garfield is on the bottom rung of Spider-Man. But what I'm saying is Andrew Garfield is the better actor. He delivered that scene to me and he was like, I got rageful. I stopped pulling my punches. I hurt people. And he's like in tears. Like
he stole this movie.
He did.
He stole this movie.
He surprisingly, I didn't like him as Spider-Man, but I loved him as his Spider-Man in this movie. Loved
Oh
it.
yeah.
See,
Did a great job.
I
We're gonna
have
have to, by the way, at the end of this, we're gonna have to vote who our favorite Spider-Man was. So just keep that in mind.
I have a bias against him because of that dang Social Network movie. I have a bad taste in my mouth from Andrew
Go
Garfield.
see Tick Tick Boom. You'll forget it.
He's had a good year. He's and I don't know this, but I've heard that one of the greatest acting performances of anybody ever was Andrew Garfield. Anytime he was asked, "Hey, are you in that Spider-Man movie?" No, I have nothing to do with that.
That's why I posted that meme. It's like, oh, this is a bracelet that can harness electricity when you lie. Andrew Garfield, every time he lies about being in Spider-Man No Way Home. No, I'm not. Thor.
So they all go, oh, okay. So they're on the roof of the school. So they decide, okay, let's all, I have all this broken stuff we need to cure. Let's cure all of them. And Toby says, I've been thinking, I've been thinking about how to cure Norman for years. So that's something that has been bothering the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man for years, is because so
I don't think it's necessarily that it's been bothering him because of Norman. I think it's been bothering him because of Harry.
Yeah,
Harry took the Goblin formula too, and granted, Harry had a turn at the end of Spider-Man 3, but he wasn't necessarily not going to come after Spider-Man and not going to be a villain. So yeah, I think that weighed on Tobey's Spider-Man.
I like that. So they're all working on it, and I guess that was one of the things people complain about. It's like, how do they all come up with these cures in hours? It's like, first of all, they're all very smart. Second of all, you have things like you have things like, Toby's been thinking about this cure for years. And they have experience, fighting these people before. So it's kind of understandable. But Ned says to Toby, it's like, hey, did you have a best friend? It's like, yes, he died in my arms. he became a villain and died. And Ned says,
I did like the point where they were all coming up with the cures, and Maguire was like, yeah, I can come up with a Goblin cure. I've thinking about this for a while. And then Garfield was like, oh, I already cured the lizard. I got this one. And they just flip off to other portions of the lab.
Right.
And then, go ahead, Pam. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say the way they did that scene told a quick recap of what happened with each of those Spider-Men without sitting there and having all this exposition. It was like, oh, well, my best friend died in my arms and stuff. That was another brilliant storytelling moment for me. Those quick little conversations told so much about what had happened.
And at some point, Andrew Garfield says to Toby, it's like, because Toby says, hey, so did you ever find anybody else? It's like, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. I don't have time for Peter Parker stuff. And Toby's like, well, me and MJ made it work. So we don't know what exactly happened there, but they, they're still together apparently.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Story.
Yeah. I just like how they all work together. And can we shout out the Spider-Man pointing scene?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to. Oh wait,
that's right here in the lab.
Okay, there's actually two Spider-Man pointing scenes, but yeah, you mean where Ned says Peter, and they're like, yeah,
and
what? Very, very funny. They also have the conversation of where Toby says, I have my web stuff just comes out of me.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
Oh, the organic web creator conversation.
Yeah, that was interesting. Is that the only place it comes out of? Yeah, that was good. Yeah, visual.
That's a valid question.
Yeah.
Very, very ooh. Yeah, and they said, well, did it ever stop working? It's like, yeah, well, I had an existential crisis, and it's just stopped being Spider-Man for a while.
Anxiety is real, people.
Yeah, so funny. And then they talk about their it's like, okay, what's your favorite villain? It's like, well, actually we're fighting some of them right now.
Yeah, that was interesting too, that they even said that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and then Tom's like, well, yeah, I found an alien and I found him in space. He's like, what? You went to space? And Andrew Garfield's like, oh, I'm so lame. All I fought was a Russian guy in a rhino.
You're not lame. I know. I have to say,
You're amazing.
yeah, amazing Spider-Man. I love that too.
Right.
I have to say, I don't know about you guys, but I thought that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were going to basically be making cameos in this movie. I had no idea they were going to have these major important parts. And at that point, when they were started to talk about this stuff, I'm like these guys are part of the plot. These guys are important to this story, which made it so much more exciting for me. Because I really thought it was just going to be like, oh, hey, there's that one. Oh, hey, there's that one.
Right.
And it wasn't.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Same on this end. I 100% thought that was going to be what it was. It's like, hey, we see Andrew Garfield through a portal. Oh, hey, we see Tobey Maguire through a portal. Closed portals.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we're done.
Right.
We're
and they were major parts of it.
Yeah, they had to be there to do this.
Yeah.
They still haven't gotten to the best. We still haven't gotten to the best part of the movie.
We still haven't gotten to the best parts of it. Yeah. So they come up with their cures or whatever, and
they do their big announcement on top of, why are they putting the Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty?
I have a big problem with that.
The Hawkeye reference to that musical. That's what that is, right? That's a reference to the Hawkeye musical.
The Rogers banner showed up early when he was swinging, in the first few scenes.
Right. They referenced the musical, but the actual Statue of Liberty had Captain America's shield.
Yeah, why though?
I don't like that. I didn't like that.
But I thought that was all part of. I don't know. That just in my mind went to that musical, and I thought, this is what. Isn't there a tie there?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with the
musical
with Tom Holland. It's I don't know. It's a dumb reference. I don't love it. I think they should have just built a separate Avengers memorial or something. But yeah, apparently
but you got to think. I mean, these are these people save the universe. So I guess let's have them
I guess
switch up the Statue of Liberty.
I don't know how it felt. So I mean, let them put the shield wherever they want. Put an arc reactor in the Statue of Liberty's chest. I'm good.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, think about if this stuff really happened, though. That almost makes sense. It almost makes sense to put Captain America's shield on the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is a totally different, meaningful thing now after all this would have actually happened. I don't know. I thought.
Oh, you were a representative of America? Oh, yeah. Well, these dudes saved the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
welcome to America. Welcome to our planet.
Welcome, welcome. Well, yeah, So
welcome to the Sun Dome.
Yeah,
and I mean, if this is, they would totally idolize these people, how they had, in Hawkeye, how they had the monument, the plaque there. It's on this, on this day in 2012, this is where the Avengers first met or whatever. So you could see that they would become historical figures and heroes and idols and all that stuff. So
yeah.
But so Tom calls the Daily Bugle and says, "Hey, this is where we're gonna be. We tried to help you,
bro.
Yeah, come at me, bro." And they all most of them show up. Electro, Sandman, Lizard, they all show up. And at first,
so quick question. We all saw that Brazilian trailer where Lizard got his head kicked in at the very end by nothing.
No.
Did we not see that? Okay, no. Never mind. I'll bring it back in another. I'll bring it back in another podcast. Go.
Okay. So at first, all these Spider-Mans are not working well together because they're used to being individual. They're just in their universes they're it. They're the only. They're
the team.
They're the team, and then so they all get together, and this is the other moment where they're all pointing at each other. It's I thought you were Spider-Man. You're Spider-Man too. Which one's three? Which one's two? And Tom Holland says, listen, I don't want to brag, but I was part of a team. I was in the Avengers. And Tobey Maguire says, "That's great. What's an Avenger?"
What is that?
And that makes sense. They wouldn't know.
Right. It's like I was
Are you in a
like,
band?
were you in a band? Were you in
Yeah.
a band?
You
The
in
way.
another universe then.
All right.
Wait,
So
hold on.
Joe
I just want to
gets
say one more thing.
Joe gets to be Spider-Man 1 because it's this podcast. Pam, you can be Spider-Man 2. I'll be Spider-Man 3. So.
But another super adorable line. This is where I'm telling you, Andrew Garfield stole this dang movie, where he says, "This is great. I always wanted brothers." That sounds like a little kid that's just happy to play with other kids or something. Like
He really just wants to be loved. That is his
we
entire
gloss
arc.
over
He
the
just
part
wants to be
where
loved.
where he says, it's like, I'm so lame. It's like, no, you're amazing. You're amazing.
Well, they've have you heard Marvel has named the first 2 Spider-Men, and Andrew Garfield is the Amazing Spider-Man, and Tobey Maguire's is the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Which they both accented. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Quote,
Doc Ock shows up, and it looks like he's going to help the villains, but actually he does, as we call in wrestling, a face turn, and he defeats Electro.
I love that you brought a wrestling reference into this.
Which I mean makes sense because he was the one that was cured. So okay.
So he rips Electro's thing out, right?
Yeah.
And then what else does he do? He fights Goblin, and that's it, right?
He does fight Goblin, and that's about it. And at that point, Sandman gets cured, and I think that's it. So and here's another thing. So Electro is cured. So basically, they cure everybody. But
you're talking about the Electro going down line. That is classic.
Well, Electro,
I love that line.
When Electro says, "It's like, man, I thought there'd be a black Spider-Man."
No, you sure drifted it. He's like, "You're from Queens. You dress like that. You help poor people. I swore you were gonna be black."
Well, which is a whole other.
Andrew Garfield just goes, "I'm sorry, man."
Which is a whole other thing.
He's like legitimately sorry for not being a black guy. It's just a weird
First
moment.
of all, when I saw this a second time and Electro delivered that line, somebody in the audience yells, "Miles Morales!" Which I thought was
that's a total nod to Miles Morales.
Yeah,
that's 100% a nod to Miles Morales.
But that brings up the question is like, well, if Electro didn't know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and I think the explanation is he knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, but he didn't know what he looked like. He just knew, hey, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he didn't know that actually he didn't know what Peter Parker was.
Yeah, so the explanation I've heard is that he finds out that the Miles Morales Peter Parker is the one that unfortunately ends up at his death. He doesn't necessarily kill him, quote unquote, but he ends up at his death. And that he's like, "Hey man, I'm really, really sorry." And he goes out on all these things, and Electro's like, "What's your name?" And he gives him his name. He's like, "My name is Peter Parker." Because he's not confident enough in being his own Spider-Man yet.
Okay. Actually, and I totally forgot about this, but Miles Morales is a thing that's coming because it was referenced in the first in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh yeah, by Donald Glover?
Right. Donald Glover.
No, Donald Glover's his uncle.
Yeah, Donald Glover. He's like, yeah, but don't mess up things because my nephew lives here, and then he calls his nephew whose name is Miles. So anyway, I totally forgot about that. So yeah, very very much looking forward to Miles Morales Spider-Man. Okay, so now we have and the other cute thing is when Doc Ock finally meets Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He says, "Peter, my boy, how are you?" And Tobey delivers that line. It's like, "Doing a little bit better every day," or something like that. Or trying to do better every day, or something like
living the dream every single day.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
But now it's now so most of the villains are defeated. Here comes Green Goblin.
Yep.
And
Of course.
Yeah. So at some point during this, Ned and MJ open the portal, and they can't close it.
They're getting webbed up at one point. Yeah.
So they're there now. So they're in danger, and MJ falls, and
Andrew Garfield gets her.
Was that
Andrew
Garfield? Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Her like he couldn't save Gwen.
Yes.
Tears.
Now, in the one with the Amazing Spider-Man movie, Gwen is falling, and I guess he webs her.
All right,
and
so
she actually dies from the whiplash, right?
Too late. Either he catches her too late and her spine snaps, or he catches her too late and the webbing would have held the spine together and her head hit the ground. Okay. So yeah, either way she's dead. She's dead. In Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and so here, so Tom is about to save her, but he gets swept away by Green Goblin. So it's like, oh, here comes Andrew, and he comes down, and this time he catches her in her arms, and he says to her, "Are you okay?" But then MJ is looking at him, and he's crying, and she's like, "Are you okay?"
Okay.
That was
and I was like, no, I am not okay. I am not okay in this moment.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Oh.
Go, Pam, please.
Beautiful.
I had just evolved into. I mean, I started crying when Aunt May died. And honestly, I don't think started crying when Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. I love Tobey Maguire. Yeah. So yeah, it was ongoing, escalating.
So we get to the fights between Tom Holland and Green Goblin. And did you? I didn't realize this at first, but this was on top of the Captain America shield that fell down.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Didn't they draw him there on purpose? Isn't that they purposely did that, right?
I guess. Yeah. I guess.
And most open part or something. Yeah.
And Green Goblin's one of his grenades or whatever
pumpkin bombs
blows up the MacGuffin. So now the multiverse is blah blah blah, all kinds of crap, and Doctor Strange is trying to fix it,
trying to hold it together, and
So Tom is fighting Green Goblin, and he's just hitting him over and over again. He's about to kill him. He's about to hit him with that thing. And what did that remind you of when he's going like this? Remember, well, two things. First of all,
Captain America, John Walker.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, are you talking about John Walker shield? No, I never even thought.
It was almost the exact same thing.
The exact same.
He's thinking he's about to get him.
All right. So also, I remember on this podcast we debated whether he actually decapitated that person.
He killed him.
Oh yeah, and he did it maliciously.
There was blood.
He turned bad.
There was blood on the shield.
All right. Peace.
But here, Tobey Maguire
gets in his face.
And gets in his face.
But
can we all talk about the height difference between Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire at this point?
Sorry, what was that, Pam?
No, he does it nicely though. It's not like he does it in such a Tobey Maguire way. It's not like, dude, stop it. He's like, this is what he really is the youth pastor thing going on there. He's just like, you don't want to do it. It was just so.
He's even got his hands between the blades. Like he could die. Like,
okay.
He's got his hands.
Speaking of which, so he's holding him there, and then Green Goblin comes in and stabs him.
Yeah. And I thought he was a goner. I did. I thought he was a goner.
I thought that was it. I thought Tobey was going to die,
which would have very much upset.
Which would have really sucked.
That would have been too much emotional baggage for the audience to carry out. With Aunt May's death and all
Yeah,
this other
that
stuff.
like there's a,
He-
don't you
that would have
dare,
been too much.
don't you dare take
killed
away my
Tobey
sweet Toby
Maguire.
Maguire.
I know.
I do love the line at the end where he's like, I've been stabbed before.
I've been stabbed before, and then at one point that he's just like he's with Andrew Garfield. He's like, I'm in so much pain.
Yeah. No, doesn't he? He says, "You're in pain, aren't you?" Oh yeah, or something like that.
So much pain. Okay, so Tom goes to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is like, I can't handle it, blah blah blah. He's like, well, then do the thing, do the spell, make everybody forget me. And it's like, okay, fine. And you have a limited amount of time here, so go
say your goodbyes.
Go say your goodbyes, and
sobbing harder.
yeah. This was so yeah. He says
so
goodbye.
I have 2 questions about that end scene. So when he walks into the coffee shop after that, unless you guys weren't,
we're not there yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, there wasn't much. He says goodbye to the
and I'll
Spider-Man.
find you.
Yeah. He says that.
Then I'll
at the
find
MJ.
you and I'll make you remember.
And I'll make you remember. This
That's
is leading to my one problem with this movie, but
okay. So yeah.
okay.
Now wait, what happened first? What happened before that was did they visit the cemetery, right? Before he sees.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he has to. Yeah,
he was before that.
Or which?
Sorry,
wait,
I forgot about the cemetery.
Yeah,
No,
the cemetery.
Right. Cemetery's first, I think.
Yeah, cemetery's first. He goes sees Aunt May, and then Happy's there.
Yeah.
And Happy doesn't recognize him, which sucks.
How'd you know her? Yeah,
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. And then the part where Happy says it's like, it's like whatever they stood for died too. And he's like, no, it doesn't. And
Yeah.
It doesn't as long as somebody carries it on or something like that.
Well, that's it's
some big superhero line. Like,
that's from it's also from Rathacon. But anyway, so yeah, so Tom goes to he's about to go to the coffee shop. He's rehearsing what he's gonna say. MJ's there, MJ works there, and then Ned comes in, and they talk about how they're going to MIT. And
she's so excited.
It almost felt for a second like Ned was a boyfriend, but
that was my question.
I wondered.
That was actually my question. Are Ned and Zendaya together?
No.
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 I don't think so either.
But here's my problem with this movie, and it was my problem with the first Spider-Man. I'm still upset about the first Spider-Man. Why can't any of our superheroes have their love interest? Why? Iron Man got with Pepper Potts, but he ended up having to die to save the universe. Why can't any of them ever be with their love? I get it.
Spider-Man.
There's that plot.
Spider-Man is because Spider-Man is eternally tormented by his own decisions.
Okay, but aren't we moving? Aren't we growing here? I mean,
wait a minute. Tobey Maguire ended up with MJ.
Yeah, but we don't know exactly what happened there. We don't know.
Yeah,
they don't give us that moment. We don't have that emotionally satisfying moment of knowing that Tobey Maguire is with her. And then prior to this movie, that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is with Zendaya and she knows what's going on. And you're like, yes, this is awesome. Finally, one of the love interests gets to know that Spider-Man is Spider-Man and is still with him and not with him. But now they ripped that up, and now we're back to not being together. He gives her up at the end by saying, you can see the wheels in his mind turning. She's happy. She's going to MIT. I'm going to back off.
It was the bandage. It was a bandage because he was just about to say something. It was a bandage over the eyes. Like, she's hurt because of me.
Yes.
And now she's happy because she doesn't know me.
But that's
so.
That's not true. That's not true. Oh my gosh!
I'm just trying to think of every other superhero, and you're right. None of them have a good love.
Break up, right? I mean, even Wanda and Vision, they have the whole series and they have this whole thing, and he is off somewhere, and she's gonna have like nobody gets to be with their soulmate.
Hawkeye.
None of them.
That's it. Just Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, by the way,
By the way,
Hawkeye's
so-
another for the win. I Cardellini, yeah, I'm in.
Kate,
Okay, I didn't see 5 yet. So,
and Kate Bishop has Pizza Dog. So there's that loving relationship. But
Wink.
yeah, you know, so now, but we have this whole other thing now where, I mean, we basically have a reboot of the entire, you know, Tom Holland Spider-Man thing. He went from being, and let's call it, I mean, hey, my daughter is a very casual fan of this. And when she saw the first 2 Spider-Man movies, she's like, oh, so he's Iron Man. He is. It was just Iron Man suit without the arc reactor. You know, everything was Stark Technologies and all that stuff. He was basically Iron Man. And now he is basically just like Toby and Andrew.
yeah,
He is alone. He's alone. He has no technology.
He's a street level Spider-Man.
Yes, he is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And we
Well, we gotta find a new name for him, because apparently friendly neighborhood Spider-Man was hitched to Tobey Maguire, and Amazing Spider-Man was hitched to Andrew Garfield. So we gotta find a new name for him.
Maybe the neighborhood is going to get nicer, so it'll be your friendly gentrified Spider-Man or something. I don't know, but
how about the neighborhood watch Spider-Man?
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, we have an entire redo, and now who knows what's going to happen? Because I mean, there is this whole other thing. There's this whole other thing
back to street level
with Sony and MC and Disney and stuff like that, who, you know, they're working together to make these movies, but who knows what's going to happen in the future. So who knows if we're going to see, I mean, we think we're going to see Tom Holland again, but I don't know. It's crazy. We're 3 movies into this version of Spider-Man, and we've basically, because of this, we've started all over again.
anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
I hate that it happened, but I love that. I love to hate that it happened. You know what I mean? I hate it, but yeah, now we are slates kind of clean again.
It's sad. And then, so so the question is, how did this forgetting spell work? What are you doing, Andrew? For 2-0? What was that?
I'm doing promos. It's fine.
Okay. I wish this was
all right. So in the comics and in the real world, this forgetting thing doesn't work all that well. So pretty much everyone forgets he's Spider-Man. Period. Done.
Wait. No, they don't.
Go ahead.
Do they forget the existence of Spider-Man, or they forget the existence of Peter Parker as Spider-Man?
In this instance, they forget the existence of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Right.
So Spider-Man has done all his heroics. He's done all his things. Peter Parker has not done anything.
Yeah, because they show Jonah Jameson doing a report saying, oh, Spider-Man, and if he weren't such a coward, he would show who he is.
Right.
So you know that he's there, but just nobody knows who he is.
Well, here's the thing. Flash wrote a book about his experience with Spider-Man.
There's an explanation for that.
There's magazine articles about how, I mean,
all media with the name Peter Parker in it, in that spell, and that same spell is stricken completely from the record. So that book may have been written, but there are no names. So you'll be reading, and I learned Spider-Man's name was blank.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
He's no longer in the Avengers.
The Avengers no longer exist technically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
but
why do the Avengers no longer exist?
Because all of them are dead.
Well, not either dead. They're either dead or retired. I mean, think about it.
Oh, you mean? Oh, never mind. I thought you.
Yeah. But so anyway, yeah. and the necklace. The necklace is very important. She still had that necklace.
What necklace are you talking about?
It was a necklace that she got in that Peter got her in
Convertage?
in Europe. Remember, he got it and it broke, and she said something like, "Oh, I like that it's broken," or something. I like broken things, and she still has that necklace. So
I don't remember what you're talking about. You're gonna have to show me.
Just look up. I think it's called Black Dahlia necklace or something like that. It's
Oh no. All right, no, that's not a thing. The Black Dahlia necklace is just a thing that Peter bought her in London. He was going to give it to her as a gift because she likes Black Dahlias, the murders. And but it broke, and he gave it to her anyway, and she's like, I like it better when it's broken.
She's
and
wearing
there's
it.
No other piece to that.
She's wearing it after when Peter goes to talk to her.
So
don't you think she's going to say, hey, I wonder where this necklace came from?
That's a sign they're going to get back together at some point. That's mine.
I don't think that's the thing.
Well, anyway, the other thing is Peter, he has to get his GED. I guess even a record of him being in school is not a thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be super easy for him.
Oh yeah.
He's going to have that before the Morbius movie comes out.
So yeah. Just amazing. Just 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10, whatever. I love this so much. They nailed it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. That's what I said. The first thing I said after 7, it is perfect.
I agree. I mean, even the part that I didn't like, the fact that he and MJ aren't together, it makes sense and it's necessary. Much as I hate it. So, but the movie, it's perfect. It's magnificent. It's just a magnificent movie.
Now let's go to the mid-credit scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Which brings up another issue. So you have.
No, it doesn't.
Hold on, you don't know what issue I'm talking about. You don't know what you can't read my mind. You're going back in other dimensions. You can't read my mind. Okay, so we see
wait, what's his face? Sorry, I saw you guys. Was I not giving my
no big deal. So Venom is sitting like on the beach or something like that, and some dude is explaining the entire MCU to him. So
all the stones.
So basically,
all the stones.
Yeah. So
all the stones.
It's like that. It's like, you mean some alien? Yeah, aliens don't like stones, man. I know from experience. Like they wiped out my family. And so he's like, oh, I guess I better go see this Peter Parker. So I guess he was drawn to this universe just like all the other villains were, but instead of fighting Peter Parker, he's on a beach somewhere, which I guess is in line with his character or something like that he's just basically a screw up. So anyway, so he's like, I better go talk to him, and then he gets blipped away, and there's just a
why did you blip him into the MCU just to blip him back?
Well, that's the thing. He was brought in, and why was he brought in? How did he know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man?
I might have a very weird comic book answer.
I know why, but go ahead.
So Venom was about to explain in Venom Venom Let There Be Carnage about the hive mind and the multiverse that they have been, and he was about to share all this knowledge with Eddie. So maybe they shared that exact knowledge at the exact time.
It is the hive mind, and it is the hive, the symbiote Venom thing that he says in I think like in the last Venom movie or something like that. He says something like he said, 80 billion years of hive knowledge. If we tried to tell you, it would blow your brains out.
He's just like 20 billion years or 800 billion years. Like he throws the number like
right.
guy.
Right. So basically, all of the symbiotes are connected throughout all the universes, and one of those
That's what he says,
symbiotes knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's why he was drawn into this universe. So
Yes.
that brings the question, because Peter said, "I want everybody that knew that I was Spider-Man should blah 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 is basically
Not
drawn to this
knowing I was
universe."
Spider-Man, yeah, got it.
So that includes Tobey Maguire's MJ. That includes remember on that one subway in the one Tobey Maguire movie when everybody
knew who he
realized
was.
that. So
He's
they
just
should
a
all
kid.
be brought in too, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
in
a very good point.
theory,
I love that
but-
scene.
Also,
but yeah, I mean,
we could talk about theories all the time, but also what happened to the villains when they got back? They were cured, but them going back to their universe changes those universes.
means Doc Ock is just drowning and he needs to be saved, which Spider-Man might do. The Goblin might not stab himself with his own glider.
Right. Now we've altered time. Here's the other thing. This was all because of Loki and Sylvie defeating He Remains and destroying the TVA. Because
and
if there was
shattering the multiverse.
Yes, because if the TVA existed, they would have seen the minute that Doc Ock and all the villains came in and Toby and Andrew came in, the TVA would have been like, we're not allowing this.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
I thought about that.
Time
Yeah,
sticky,
I
time
definitely.
sticky,
Where
time
are they?
sticky.
With those sticks. Where are
Isn't that
they?
amazing?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So then the second the end credit scene or whatever is basically a trailer for Multiverse of Madness.
Can
Which
I
is-
say that I am super stoked for this now?
I am more so too.
It's gonna be amazing. Sorry, what was that, Pam?
No, I am more so too. I'm more so.
Oh yeah. It's
stoked for it too.
it's amazing. There's basically Doctor Strange broke a lot of stuff, and we have Mordo coming back. Did you see that?
Yes.
And America Chavez.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad somebody else.
I don't know. I
noticed
must have
that.
been blinded by my tears at that point.
Okay,
I don't have to watch it again.
America
not-
Chavez is in this movie.
I'm
I
not
am so
real.
stoked.
I'm not real
Huge
familiar
flex.
with America Chavez. I just know she has a big star on her back or something like that. But I
Huge flex. She
believe
travels between dimensions.
she's
Huge
an
flex on that. Ah.
so we will be introduced to her, and and I like when he goes to visit Wanda, and Wanda's like, okay, I know why you're here.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
I did some stuff. I did some stuff. Sorry. It's like
In
I don't ca-
Westview.
Yeah.
That's not even
Like,
why
no,
I'm
not
here.
here because of Westview. we have bigger fish to fry.
It's like,
Um,
I got you, girl. We're good.
But I like that she was there though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah. So it's basically, I mean, this was unlike any other post-credit scene, because most other post-credit scenes are scenes,
Just
and
little
this was
snippets.
basically a trailer.
Yeah.
Okay. But so you have all this stuff happening,
Right.
and in the end, you have another Doctor Strange that says, like,
Evil Doctor Strange.
evil Doctor Strange that says something like things are about to get
Yeah.
weird or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget what he said. Wow.
And you're
You
going,
know,
what?
right. And,
Tell me what?
and basically,
What?
this reminded me a lot of What If. This had a lot of What If undertones.
It does.
Yeah.
But of course,
It's
it's much
sort of-
better because it's live
yeah.
action. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm interested in that stuff that happened in What If now. I might actually go back and watch that episode because I want to
won't.
see it. But yeah.
Oh yeah, there was another thing. There was another part where Doctor Strange's whatever her name is, his
Yeah,
love
Rachel
interest.
McAdams. Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't think of her name. Yeah.
She's-
Oh yeah, she gets
she's-
married.
She gets married, and Doctor Strange is in the audience. He's not the one that's marrying her. He's just there.
That's part of
Yeah.
what's turning him evil. quote unquote evil.
Well, that was that what if episode where he kept trying to
No,
avoid.
that was the sorcerer. They call it something specific.
the supremist sorcerer or something like that.
But I liked him putting that in there. That was like, oh, now we're going to be pulled into Doctor Strange's world again. Like,
Yeah.
It was a good 30 seconds that they showed or whatever. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
No, they showed Hugh McGorath.
What, that monster or whatever? Well, we don't know that's that. It could be another monster. But anyway,
it's actually according to the Lego thing, it's like Gigantor or something.
Lego, freaking Lego is spoiling.
Disappointing Marvel fans across the globe.
I saw that. Yeah, Lego is now spoiling things. But that's the thing. When you make toys and you make things for movies and stuff like that, you gotta plan that stuff way ahead of time. So of course that's going to include spoilers. So it's hard to avoid. But anyway, okay, we have gone so long. So
long.
But still, I'm sorry.
We still missed stuff. I mean, like, it's such a good
every
movie.
second of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's stuff we missed, but anyway, yeah, we gotta cut this out. So guys, thank you so much.
Oh my god, thank you.
So glad we got to see it. So glad we got to talk about it.
I'm gonna see it again.
Thank you, Joe and Pam, for
I'll be texting.
validating all of my weird Marvel stuff.
I couldn't wait. So.
We still need to come up for a name for ourselves. Maybe the Geek Squad. I know that's a name that has
maybe
been used
just
before.
weird Marvel stuff.
Well, we're gonna talk Star Wars at some point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Here.
weird fan service
Boba
stuff?
Fett.
Yeah, Boba Fett is coming up in like a week.
Oh, trust me.